Mr. Chairman, ladies, gentlemen, thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you. Today in Holland is a day of transition as we now have a king instead of a queen. And I think transition is also the case here, from peat to wind, I've understood this morning. So here we go. We are a Chinese company. XEMC Darwind is part of the larger XEMC group in China. Now, many people are afraid of Chinese because they take away jobs. In the case of our wind turbine, this is certainly not the case, because most of the components in a wind turbine, and the way we do it, are sourced either locally or from the western part of the world. As has been mentioned often, transportation costs prohibit the import of many components from China. Basically, we are an offshore company. We build offshore wind turbines. However, due to the delays which we face in the offshore world, we are currently concentrating on the onshore market. And Ireland is of great importance to us, and therefore I'm very happy to be able to be here. We are developing a new 4.5 megawatt onshore turbine, which would be of interest to project developers over here. And there's some information on that in the other room. Now, the turbine itself is just part of a larger supply chain. And I will only concentrate on the turbine because we've had many other speakers talk about the much broader picture. We have three distinct fields, we'd say. It's component manufacturing, assembly and installation, and afterwards the operations and maintenance, which usually lasts for 20 to 25 years. So let me try and give you some figures on how we see the results of local content translated into jobs and man-hours over here. We had two scenarios. It's a scenario where we build about 25 turbines here, or 50 or more. Naturally, we'll need a local assembly plant. Mind you, we as XEMC do not manufacture components. We are assemblers, installers, and up to a degree, project financers. So there will be a hall needed, and these are some of the characteristics of such a hall. And components which are subject to local manufacturer in the basic scenario are the floor parts, fences, brackets, fasteners, now you name it, and a large part of the electrical cabinets, etc. Then we have an advanced or more advanced scenario where we build more turbines per year. And then we go into long lead items, dedicated systems like high voltage switchgear. We talk about larger castings, etc., etc. Local manufacturer of tower parts is of interest because transporting a tower or parts of a tower overseas from, for instance, China or India to Ireland makes no sense because you're transporting air. This gives you sort of an overview of how the costs are distributed in a turbine. The blades, hub, generator, and the cell take up a very large chunk. Don't pin me down on if it's 11% or 12% or 6 or 7%, but this is a general impression. Keep in mind that the value of a turbine is something like €1 million per megawatt. It should be lower, but this is easier to calculate. Then including the foundation and all the other parts, we come to for a 5 megawatt turbine or 4.5 megawatt turbine, something like between 4.5 and €5 million per turbine. Some of the components which we have pinpointed for local manufacture. As you see, the power, the transformers, the simple, quote-unquote, simple floors and fences, brackets, what have you. Larger parts like castings, tower parts, cables, electrical cabinets. And there's, of course, also the foundation, which you need to source locally by definition. Now, for assembly and installation, I think the most important is in the bottom. You're looking at man-hours per turbine. So we say approximately 1,000 man-hours. It's a bit lower. It should be 800 to 900 man-hours for activities in the assembly plant, and about the same amount of man-hours for installation and commissioning. So it starts adding up. Let me see, full-time equivalents, you're talking for a smaller plant, you talk about 70 full-time equivalents, and divided in indirect labor. Of course, the more turbines are being bought, the more FTEs we can provide here in Ireland. Now, for operations and maintenance, we say that per installed 10 turbines, you'll have at least one person in the operations and maintenance side. But mind you, that's for a longer period of time, and this excludes spare parts, etc. I haven't calculated the spare parts, but you can imagine that if you have a wind turbine park for 25 years, there will be spare parts. In summary, the component manufacturing is, in our case, around about 8% of the total investment. For assembly, 700 to 900 man-hours per wind turbine generator. Direct, indirect, between 18 and 23, 25 full-time equivalents, based on 45 turbines. Installation, again, between 700 and 900 man-hours. Same amount of FTEs. And then for the O&M, it's 1 FTE per 10 wind turbines. So in total, you'll see that if you have 5 gigawatts to be installed here, and it is irrespective of the turbine manufacturer, I believe Goldwind or Nordex or whoever, if they start local assembly here and local installation work here, components manufacturing, the amount of work brought into this country is phenomenal. So we all hope that this fantastic program will proceed as planned and quickly. It will bring a lot of jobs and high quality jobs to this country. And we look forward to working together with local industry and local project developers. Thank you.